videos. Good morning.
Good morning,
Good
ma'am.
morning, ma'am.
Good morning, ma'am.
Yes. I want you all to do one activity. Take your lecture note or rough book or any book, something to write on, and write about the different notions of psychology. Like whatever you think psychology is, whatever you think psychology deals with, whatever you have heard from people what psychology deals with, or what else? If it is specific to any phenomenon in psychology, that is also okay. Do you understand? Like if you have heard assumptions, or if you have heard, or if you have at least read about something about various phenomenon, that is also okay. I want you to list all those.
Ma'am, can you repeat?
Who understood?
No, ma'am, mine it was sorry, I can't hear you that day.
My throat is paining. That's why I'm asking. Can anybody else explain? Abhilash
Yes,
understood?
right.
Yes, ma'am.
Kevin. Someone. Kevin. Tell him what is to be done. I'll open a PPT just now. Please tell him what is to be done.
Just write about what you understand about psychology, different notions of psychology.
Abhinav understood.
I'm different part of psychology, ma'am.
Different
Last.
notions, which means your conceptualization about psychology, or what you have heard, what people think of psychology, or
Okay.
what you earlier thought psychology is. Write all those points, everything.
Okay.
What you understand about psychology now, whatever you had, or whatever assumption you had before you attended the class, all those. Just list as bullet points. Please keep your videos on. Finished? Okay, one more minute, then we'll stop. Sandra and Sanjana, you look so similar to me. The way you both reacted just now to my comment, they are also the same. Yeah. Okay, shall we stop? Finished?
Yes, finished.
Yes. Okay. Did you read up the case which I sent in the group?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. And what did you find out? Who can summarize the case? Rose. There is some disturbance in your voice here. Try once more. Unfortunately, no, it's not okay. Sanjana, did you read?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Can you summarize the case?
Ma'am, Ranjit and Shabnam was in the same class.
Ranjit.
Ranjita,
Huh.
she belonged to a farmer family.
Hmm.
Her
Wait,
parents
wait, just
and
a minute, just a minute. Others, you have to cross check whether the thing is right or not. Okay. So listen.
her parents and brother works in a farm.
Hmm.
She's a good athlete.
Hmm.
Then Shabnam, she lives with her mother.
Hmm.
Her father works in town.
Hmm.
She's good artist and she like staying in home.
She likes
Staying in home.
staying home.
She was shy and she avoided meeting new people.
Then.
Then flood came, so Shabnam's house went. Not went like it was flooded. So she went to Ranjita's house and stayed there. Then they became good friends.
Then. That's all. Okay. Anything more to add, guys and girls? Any point that she missed? Okay, now whatever I have understood from Sanjana's interpretation is that there were two people, two characters, two girls. Their family background was explained. Flood came and one moved into the other person's house. They became good friends. That's it. Anything else you want to add?
Ma'am, after the flood, Ranjita's mother and grandmother helped Shabnam's mother to set up their house again.
Okay.
And they became very close.
Then. What else? Under which topic did we read this case study?
Psychology as a social science.
Psychology as a social science. And why do you think this case is given under this topic?
It's a study of a behavior.
It's a study of a behavior. So, what behavior are we referring to here? You think you're reaching the point.
Ma'am, interaction,
Interactions. Who
human
interacted with
interaction.
whom?
Ranjita's interaction with Shubham, Shabnam. Check. Oh yeah, Shabnam, ma'am.
I wish I didn't record this class. Yes, Ranjita's interaction with Shabnam and Shabnam's interaction with Ranjita, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Then
Ranjita has an extrovert
Interaction
kind of
between two
clash.
culture.
Interaction between two culture. I heard that. Devika's sound is so feeble. You'll have to shout.
Ranjita has an extrovert kind of personality. She's very friendly, while Shapnam is an introvert and shy to communicate. She's not that sociable.
So,
So when they became friends,
hmm,
um, they both are in good contact, and Ranjita actually helped Shapnam like overcome her this thing, and she's
problems. Hmm,
good terms with
okay. So, whose behavior changed after socializing or socializing?
Shapnam's.
Shabnam's behavior changed. And was it for good?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So, in this example, it is for good. Roshan, you told that the behavior, it studies behavior, the changes of behavior, isn't it? Yes. Yes, that
Yes,
is
ma'am.
correct. Yes. So that is how the socialization process or the social interactions and the social factors around us change our behavior. And in turn, it might affect our total personality also. See, this Shabnam's personality, Shabnam's or Ranjita's, whose personality, who had a very shy kind of personality,
Shabanam.
Shapnam.
Shabnam. So Shabnam's behavior was changed a lot, isn't it?
Yes.
She started communicating with people. She started having friends. She even tried to help the other person. That might be out of empathy. We learned that what empathy and all. Okay, so I hope you understood the case very well. It's a very simple one, I hope, isn't it? Should I explain anymore? No, right? It'd be too boring if I keep on telling it. So we'll move on to the next topic, which is the next one. See the heading. Please switch on the videos again, Malavika, Omar, Abhijit, Rose. What is the next heading?
Ma'am, understanding mind and behavior.
Understanding mind and behavior. Share the screen. Understanding mind and behavior. Again, this is also one among the controversial topics. Sanam, you didn't sleep well yesterday?
I know, ma'am, subtle.
Okay. Hmm. It is true that mind cannot exist without brain, but mind is a separate entity. How many of you agree to that? It is true that mind cannot exist without brain, but mind is a separate entity. Mind in itself has a separate existence. How many of you believe that?
Believe that brain, in the brain only the mind.
Inside the brain lives the mind.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it? Okay. What do you call a mind in Malayalam? Hmm? Yes, Amal?
Manasu.
Manasu. And Manasu is in the brain? Think, think, think. How many of you think that mind is in the brain, inside the brain?
No, one scientist invented that the mind is in the brain. I don't know which scientist. I forgot the name of the
I don't know.
Ma'am, the mind is the brain.
The mind is the brain. Hmm. Okay, imagine yourself in 10th standard. Hmm? Imagine yourself in 10th standard, which means you have not met me, you have not started studying psychology. Okay. Hmm? And if somebody comes and asks you, where is your mind? What will you show them? You have to non-verbally communicate to the person where your mind is. What will you show them? Like this. Others, Eva showed me this. Suppose not me, somebody else tells you, or you yourself feels that something is not right with my mind. Something is torturing me inside my mind. And I feel so heavy inside. Translate that into Malayalam and see. Ravika started here, ended here. Amal Roshan, any idea? You're not well? Are you okay?
So
Okay. How many of you think it's here? How many of you think it's here? How many of you think it's both?
Ma'am, both.
both
Very
first in
dramatic.
the head and go to the heart. We get more heartbeat if we get.
First in the head and then goes to the heart. First inside the skull, then breaks out and goes inside the rib cage. Is it, Amal? Okay, let it be. Others,
Ma'am, I
Amal,
feel it's everywhere.
everywhere in the sense, everywhere inside the body.
Ma'am, everywhere in the body.
Everywhere?
Everywhere in the body.
Everywhere in the body. Okay. Is it there in the spinal cord?
Probably.
Probably. Hmm. Okay. Then. Others. Be brave and talk
Sure.
your opinions. Nobody is going to judge you. I might laugh because I find it very funny and interesting. Okay. No offense there. Yes.
A mind is more symbolic than physical. So
Mind is not
more
physical.
it's more symbolic than physical. So
It's
you
more
can't exactly
symbolic.
define mind. It's like a cluster of your emotions and consciousness.
Cluster of your emotions and consciousness. Hmm. Okay. Then you're also free to laugh at my stupidity. Okay. It is a two-way interaction. Anytime you're welcome. Yes, Abdul, you are about to say something. Where is Abdul now? Ah, Abdul, did you go to Google? Others. Emily, what is your opinion? Confused? Talk. Bazari, what is your opinion? Cannot hear. Can you type in the
With
chat
thought,
box if you can't speak?
Ma'am, without brain, we cannot think of the mind.
Without brain, we cannot think of the mind. So without mind, can we think of the brain?
Uh,
Hmm? Malroshan will come and beat me.
Ma'am,
Ah,
mind is a thing
hmm.
which is used to represent our thoughts,
Mind is a thing
etc.
which is used to represent our thoughts. Hmm. Okay.
Thoughts and feelings.
Thoughts and feelings. Hmm. Okay. Then, any other opinions, people? Anila, you told me you're not an introvert. Why are you not speaking in the class? Or are these guys not giving you any chance to speak?
ma'am,
Yes, yes, yes.
my mind is a storage of a memory.
Mind is storage of memory. Hmm. Okay, let it be. Anila, come on, speak something. Speak something.
Brain and mind for me, both.
Both are.
If mind is not there, then brain won't be there. Both
If
for
mind
me.
is not there, brain is not there. If brain is not there, mind is not there.
Yes,
Is that your point?
yes.
Okay, fine. Okay, let's see. Again, this this is a sentence from your textbook. It is true that mind cannot exist without brain, but mind is a separate entity, which means, what does that mean?
Is separate.
Now, both are separate, but they are related.
So,
Can you understand? Yes. So we cannot completely say that mind is in the brain or mind is in the heart or rather mind is in the spinal cord. It does not have a place or location. Understood? Yeah. And again, mind and brain, both of them are related. They are influenced, but mind has a separate existence. And you might ask me why and how. We are dealing with some of the case studies, not case studies as such, but small cases where we can prove or evidences with which we can understand that this statement is true. Okay, we see the following cases where some part of the brain was damaged, but the mind remained intact. To understand this concept in detail, we'll go to the next section. So remember, we are going to see some of the cases where brain was damaged, might be in accident or some kind of things like that, and the mind still remained intact. Okay, which proves that mind is a separate entity. First one, occipital lobe removal. Do you know what occipital lobe is? In biology, have you learned?
I don't think so, ma'am. I don't remember.
You don't think so? Okay, look at this picture.
visual power.
Ah, visual power, occipital lobe. See this
Yes, sir.
the picture here. There are four lobes in the brain. Frontal lobe, which is supposed to be the uh, biggest one. Then parietal lobe. Then on the back side of the head you have occipital lobe. On both of the sides we have temporal lobe. Okay. So there are four brain lobes: frontal, parietal, occipital, and temporal. And each of them have separate functions or specified functions, but it doesn't mean that if the occipital lobe is not there, then a particular function of that cannot function properly. I mean, damages or inappropriateness or impairment might be there, but you cannot say that a particular function is completely for one particular lobe. Suppose hearing, hearing sensation. The main lobe that deals with that is the temporal lobe.
I
But
can you say every lobe are interconnected.
yes, exactly. All the lobes are interconnected, which means if temporal lobe is damaged, but certain functions are happening in some of the other lobe, then that form of or that amount of processing might still happen, even the temporal lobes are damaged. Understood? Point I'm trying to make is all the lobes are interconnected. They have specific functions, but they also share some of the functions with each other. Now here we are going to learn about occipital lobe, and the occipital lobe is located at the very back of the brain and contains the primary visual cortex, which is responsible for interpreting incoming visual information. So there is an area in the occipital lobe called primary visual cortex. Have you learned of brain cortex? Cortex? No.
Outer part of the brain.
Hmm. Okay. The primary visual cortex, that is an area in occipital lobe, and this area is responsible for interpreting incoming visual information. So if I'm standing in front of you, if you have to interpret that it's your teacher, then you need this particular area. This area should be properly working. Otherwise, you might interpret me as some ghost or some other person or an animal or something else. You might not even interpret that it's me. Understood? So, primary visual cortex in the occipital lobe is responsible for interpreting visual information. Understood that much? Okay, then
Yes, ma'am.
this is responsible for vision, obviously. It's primary visual cortex. If we have to interpret something that we sense visually, then that should be responsible for vision. Then, when occipital lobe was surgically removed, the patients responded correctly to location and configuration of visual cues. This is an evidence from a study where occipital lobe was surgically removed. There was damage happened to that area of the brain or that brain lobe, and then that area was removed. Okay, that area was removed, and then patients responded correctly to location and configuration of visual cues, which means I already told you there are already connections and we have past experiences in our mind, isn't it? We already discussed that mind is a separate entity, so we have past experiences in our mind because we were having this occipital lobe before just before the surgery, isn't it? Until that period of time we had this occipital lobe, so with that we already interpreted things. We could sense the vision, we could comprehend what is in front of us, we could perceive whatever we saw through the sensory modality of vision. Okay, then now what happened is after the surgery, even though the occipital lobe is removed, patients who had undergone that particular surgery, they could correctly respond to location and configuration of visual cues, which suggests that the mind is a separate entity and we have a lot of information in the mind. Our mind helps us in different functions. Did you understand? That is just one case. We'll see more. First one was occipital lobe removal. Second one is phantom arm. Have you heard of
Ma'am, but
phantom
like,
arm?
ma'am, like, how does it make sense? Like, you remove that which is responsible for vision, but like, when it's there, it's responsible for vision. Like, doesn't make sense. Like, it's there for no reason. Like, you can take it out and put it back. There will be no difference.
Yeah,
Ma'am,
that is like
ma'am,
ah,
can you tell example? If you cut our hand, we feel that we have a hand.
yes, that is the next phenomenon. We'll clear this doubt and move forward. Okay. Uh, yes. So what were we talking about? Yeah, occipital lobe removal. The thing is, see, suppose, hmm, how will I explain this? Yeah, the lobe was removed. You had this lobe before the surgery. Until that period of time, you had this lobe. So the function of the vision interpretation and the sensing, perception, everything was done by that particular lobe. Hmm. I already told you this has connection with the other lobes also. Hmm. So some connections might have been there still. And if the lobe is not there and we are performing the function not as accurate as the previous time where we had the lobe, but still we are able to perform the function, which means there is some other entity that is helping us in performing this function. Okay, and that is what we call the mind. Understood?
Ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am, but then if we can still get a non-accurate view of what's happening around us, isn't
Why
that,
do we believe?
ma'am, isn't that proof for like the connections of the brain?
Mm.
Doesn't that prove that the brain has the
Yeah,
lobes are
like
interconnected and not it's the mind does not exist?
Mind does not exist. Like, we'll
Ma'am,
draw something.
doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah, I understood. You're telling that it's
no, it's
because
where the
only
brain is,
because of the
the
connection.
better the
Huh? Yes, Omar?
ma'am. It's like the better the brain is, or the more complex it is, the more better the mind gets.
Yes.
Is that how it is?
Yeah, that can be. I'll show you one thing. We'll draw and understand. Wait. See, this was our brain before the surgery, or this was the patient's brain before the surgery. And what happened is, see, even this is a part, this occipital lobe is a part of the brain, and these whole structure is called the brain, isn't it? And they are not four pieces put together. That is one whole organ of our body. This whole thing. Understood? And we are, so this part will be connected with this, and this, obviously. Because that is one whole organ. And this whole part is removed. The occipital lobe is completely removed. So with that, we are losing so many connections also, and so many functions also. But still, the people responded to the visual cues and the location correctly. That shows the presence of separate entity, because these small connections are not enough to accurately respond to the location and visual cues, isn't it? Because that whole function was performed by this occipital lobe. So we might be able to see something and sense something, but can we actually respond to a particular location and cue if we lose that particular part of our body which completely functioned for that function, for the vision?
Ma'am,
Hmm.
can we interpret the after removing the occipital lobe?
Can we interpret what? Vision, visual cues. Are you talking about visual cues? Yes, that's the study, no? The patients who got their occipital lobe removed correctly responded to location and visual cues. But please note that this does not happen correctly for everybody who gets their occipital lobe removed. It's just like any other surgery. If somebody undergoes a heart surgery, you cannot say that it will be 100% successful, isn't it? There has been people who have already died because of the surgery. The doctors warn us before the surgery that this particular surgery or this particular operation has this much of risk factor, and they get a sanction from the family members and the patient, and then only they undergo the surgery, they do the surgery. Yeah, so like that, the brain surgery also has the risk factors, but here this study was done among a group of patients who had their occipital lobe removed, and they were tested. Then it was found that they could correctly respond to location and visual cues, which suggested the presence of mind. It's not with one or two cases that these people are studying. Okay. And this conclusion might have been made after proper evaluation of the connections and brain connections that we spoke about now. And after that only they have found out that this is the case. Okay, fine. Now, next one, as Amal said, the phantom arm phenomenon. Have you heard of it anywhere before?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. So this case is about an athlete. An athlete lost his arm in a motorcycle accident, but continued to feel an arm and also continued to feel its movements, which means the arm was amputated. The arm was removed, but still he or she could, excuse me, feel that arm. Um, when offered coffee, this phantom arm reached out to the coffee cup, and when someone pulled it away, he protested. Okay, that is also one evidence of mind. Then, similarly, phantom pain. Phantom pain means even though this arm is amputated or this body part is removed, whatever part it might be, people feel pain in that particular part. Did you understand? Suppose I don't have my left hand, but I am feeling pain in my left hand. That is phantom pain. Okay. And the real cause of this thing is not yet found out, but it is assumed that it's because of the mind. Okay. Then, and why can we say that it is because of the mind? Because we already had our arm before. So the experiences with the arm, the past experiences with the arm, the mental processes that we already engaged in using, that involves our arm, all that is there in our mind, in our consciousness or subconsciousness. That is why we still feel it. That is the argument. Then, brain injury. Third case is about brain injury. A young man who suffered brain injury in an accident after he returned home from the hospital claimed that his parents had been replaced by their duplicates. They were considered as imposters. What are imposters?
Fakes.
Hmm? Imposters very common to you now, isn't it?
Duplicate fakes.
Duplicate fakes. Okay. So this, just a minute. Is it already time to stop? No, right? 3 more minutes,
No,
right?
ma'am.
Yes. Okay. So what happened is after the accident, this person came home after the treatment to from the hospital, and when he saw his parents, he told that they are duplicates and they are imposters. They were considered to be imposters. Okay, he claimed that parents are imposters. That is another case. Okay, next is relationship between mind and the body. Just see this point and then we'll finish. Earlier, it was thought that there is no relationship between them. They were thought to be parallel to each other. The recent studies show that this is not the case. So until now, we saw cases about or the evidences to prove that mind is a separate entity. Okay. And now we are going to, in the coming classes, we'll learn how, or we'll see the cases of how mind and body are related. Do you think mind and body are related?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Can you
Yes,
give one
ma'am.
example? Anyone? Anyone in the class? One example to prove that mind and body are related.
Ma'am, the first example which you told us about the removal of the occipital lobe,
Ah,
that's a
tell
example of
me some
the
examples
relation.
from your experience. Occipital lobe, we just learned now.
Urination.
Urination? How does that prove that mind and body are related? I don't know. I have not thought about it. Tell me.
urinary bladder is full, our mind told to go to toilet.
Okay. You
Ma'am,
get
ma'am, the mental condition, like if you're feeling down or sad, there's more likely your body will not function really well.
very simple example. When we are
Ma'am,
very low,
reflex arc.
reflex arc. Okay. When we are very low or very sad, some people they seem to have an increased appetite. Hunger will be more for them when they are feeling low or when they are feeling very sad or disappointed. For some people, there will be loss of appetite. Hunger is a physiological aspect, isn't it? Yes or no? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Not always. It involves a part of psychology also, which we'll learn. It's a bit complicated. Okay, so we learn the examples in the next class. Okay, thank you. And please keep the list, whatever you wrote today. Please keep that with you. We have that portion coming up. Okay, thank you. Bye.
Yeah.